Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to Songs of Syx, a epic city builder, according to the game's own sales pitch. And you know what? It is not false advertisement by any stretch of the imagination, as in this city right now I've got some 2,000 fully simulated individuals, each and every one with their own little portraits, their own stat blocks like height, age, and all of these properties. Not to mention, of course, the fact that my city is spread out over a pretty damn massive area. This is my main little block right here with libraries, flat houses, nurseries, breweries, bakeries, fields, and over here in the mountains we've got yet another part of the economy. We've got a stone field here, a masonry, we've got warehouses, we have a burgeoning jewellery production, we've got coal and iron mining, we've got smelting, we've got arms, armor, and tools production, etc., etc., etc. It really is a damned massive game, and I have talked about this one earlier, but it's been a while since then, and honestly, I gotta tell you, this is, in my opinion, probably the single best city builder currently on the market. Now, sure, City Skyline is grand and all, and you can do some amazing things in that game, so long as you're willing to deal with the fact that the performance dips like nobody's business in mid to late game, and you wanna stress around with the backwards logistics of the game, where whenever a vehicle leaves its target area, it stays in that lane forevermore, rendering most actual multi-lane highways goddamn pointless. Not so in this game, as in fact the flocking system, as you can see here, characters are actually moving out of each other's way. In fact, they will have a little bit of a statistic on them. Whenever there's so much congestion that they can't simply avoid one another, they will get a little status modifier saying, making way, and they'll slow down a little bit. Or alternatively, they'll just get out of each other's way if that's better. It is a really damn cool game, and I want to talk about it again. As we can see here, the arena, the big arena, is currently under construction, placed smack dab in the middle of the ever-expanding main city hub. This one is going to grow quite a lot larger now since I hit the 1,000-man mark, I think? Yes, the 1,000-man growth arch, which makes me the Lord title, which gives me 30% happiness, which is a very big deal, and 25% extra bartering power. Now, the happiness one, that's the biggest of deals, because as you can see here, these are the population's fulfillment score. Fulfillment is basically happiness. The more excess fulfillment I have, in other words, the better I take care of my subjects, the more immigrants want to come to my city. Right now, for example, there are 87 humans currently baying at the gates to be let in, and this is due to this. So, like, for example, population here, you can see that that's giving a total of plus 0.03, primarily due to mercy. Whereas food, 0.04, mainly due to food preference, and sometimes they can't get their preferred food, which leads to a minus in their fulfillment. This is because, again, every single solitary one of these individuals is fully simulated, including their hunger and their preferred foods. For example, the tilapia here, if we go to the info tab, you can see they prefer meat, bread, fruit, or vegetables, so I need to provide them with one of these. Okay, how do I do that? Well, first and foremost, I gotta make it. In the case of fruit and vegetables, you simply grow it in fields, which of course have their own fertility scores, which is affected by putting aqueducts next to them to fertilize them. Not fertilize them, to water them. There you go. Once a year, these become harvestable, and we grab tons of resources into the warehouses, where they are then distributed to either eateries or cantina. That's a tavern. Here, for example, we've got a cantina. Cantina is employing 5 people to cook up new and nutrient-rich meals. This is the preferred foods. It's a bit more fancy. You can see them cooking it up here. I'm assuming they're just deep frying bread, which, don't get me wrong, sounds delicious in its own artery clogging ways, but Very well, very well. Or alternatively, a lot of food can also be served just straight up. In fact, all of it can, but it won't be as delicious. Over here, for example, you've got an eatery, where the food is, it's given a little bit of preparation, a little bit of seasoning, maybe they'll mix and match a little bit, but by and large, this is just the straight up food. So, the various people will go to an eatery or a cantina and they'll eat a meal. And the amount of meals available, of course, is dependent upon the area. The eatery is pretty large, you've got all of the stuff available here, so it's got 36 servings currently available. Those servings will be eaten and replenished by the workers at the... Jesus Christ, that's way too much. Let's micro that down a little bit. There you go, that's far more better. But since the eatery is not quite as popular, it doesn't have the foot traffic, whereas the cantina here, it's already pretty much stuffed. In fact, if you see it here, available services, it goes up and it goes down a little bit as people come in to eat, but load 100%. Basically, my serving staff is working as fast as they can. They've got a workload of 100% right now to try and keep people fed and happy. This is also dependent upon distance, because people are only going to bother to go so far to actually get a bite to eat, which is why you need to set up different areas. For example, here we've got another cantina. Now, this one's not particularly busy. As you can see, it says 18 out of 21, load is 28.3, and this is primarily serving the coal mines down here and some transportation business. The same also goes for latrines, as your people need to poop occasionally as well. You've also got bathhouses and flat houses. Now, people don't live in a specific house. Instead, they simply just pop in wherever they need to when they need to have a nap. The game doesn't have a economy system in terms of taxes or charging for different things. Instead, you simply have a treasury, which is used for exporting and importing goods. You can also tax certain resources, mind you, as well, with administration, which is yet another resource. As this isn't even the whole game. This is the world map. That's my city right there. And there are a bunch of other cities all over the place. And you can attack and invade and conquer these cities if you so choose, because it's not just a city builder, you see. It's also got a fully functional combat system. In fact, let me show you that right now as well. Right, so here we have ourselves a little skirmish in a different save. This is a much smaller city, so the garrison is not enormous. I've got 2 units of melee dudes here and 1 unit of archers. The melee dudes is 1 of dwarves, 1 of humans, and the Telepi, the elf bastards, are archers because they're just naturally better at it. And in opposition to me, I've got, I think, about 200 lads roundabout. You can also zoom in on them and see their equipment level. Like, these guys are very well equipped. You can see they've got helmets, they've got armor, they've got swords, they got everything. Whereas these guys, they ain't got diddly dick squat. My guy's equipment is not the most amazing either, but it's serviceable. It's good enough for purpose so far. Okay, so we've got a bit of a swamp terrain here to defend, which I'm not actually too annoyed by. So let's have the archers cover that terrain. We're going to have them be on fire. Well, of course, we're going to have them in loose formation so they can be offensive, and we're going to have them in guard mode. Meanwhile, we're going to have melee lads just covering the archers, as the archers are going to have to do most of the work here. We can keep them in loose formation as well. You can also put them in tight formation if you want to, just wear down the enemy. But here, I'm hoping to shoot them to pieces first, and then maybe break them with a nice big charge. You can make them charge forward towards the enemy. Right. And then we start. I've also got a little catapult here, which should be able to start firing pretty much right off the bat. Right, here we go. Let us see, what are they going to be up to? What's the range of my archers? Yeah, not enormous, but it's enough. And I was going to start their advance, and they should start firing. See, are they going to go a little bit flunky here? Can I maybe readjust my formation a pinch? I think so. And this is a very small battle too, by the way. This the settlement that I'm using here, I only think has about 500 dudes, maybe 1,000 odd tops. There we go, and whoosh. Each arrow is, of course, also individually simulated, and the skills of the archer determines whether or not they hit anything. Oh, they've got a couple archers themselves, right? Well, I'm just going to stand there and take that. I'm not going to try and charge out, because they've got the numbers on me. The offensive AI is not ideal, but I also want to point out that this is the first variant of the combat system that they've got right here, so they're too passive. Like, they've got way fewer archers than me. They should be advancing just straight up right now. Standing there in the middle of the swamp getting pelted to shit by many, many, many times their archers whilst doing diddly-dick nothing in return is, not the most strategically brilliant of maneuvers, I will happily admit. But again, this is literally the first iteration of the combat system, and man, can you not see the incredibly interesting promise of this kind of large-scale combat? I mean, look at the size of this damned map! And you've got all of these units that can maneuver independently. That is really, really goddamn cool. Oh, have they finally decided to try and go for it? Okay. In which case, I am gonna probably go for it as well. It's time to try and see if we can't crush whatever's left of them. Oh, or no, are they just straight up scattering? Ah, right. Never mind. They didn't like the archery fire, did they? Apparently not. But yeah, again, a bit rudimentary at the moment, bearing in mind also a very small battle from a very small village, but still, you can see the point here. And of course, you can also get captives after the battle is over, which you can throw into jail or enslave if you so wish to. But with battles in a relatively early phase, what else do you do in the game? Well, you run your happy little city with a pretty damn massive amount of resources, which you can see over to the side here. For example, you've got drinks, which are fairly self-explanatory. They are served up in taverns, like the one down here, I believe, which also has servers and workload. This one's currently being kind of beaten into the floor with demand, probably because there's not enough drink nearby, I would wager. I've got nothing in that storehouse right there. And I've got a little bit in the store right here, but it's flying off the shelves almost as quick as I can pack it in. I've got a decent bit of a surplus that you can see, but it's probably spread in warehouses throughout my little nation here. So really what I need to do is try to get even more brewery overflow, because I've currently got the various warehouses set up to try and collect alcohol wherever possible. And of course the employees themselves will do so too. I'm just going to toss on a couple more employees there to try and help that out. Oh, this guy seems to have had a pinch too much, perhaps, but oh well. He's a orc person thingity-bob, which are vegetarians, by the way, so that's all good and fine. You may also notice that some of the buildings are weirdly shaped. That's because some of the factions like organically shaped structures. In this case, organic means round, whilst others, species, like square structures. They also have preferences in the building material, be it wood, stone, or cut stone. Grand buildings. Humans are the most expensive of the lot because they like grand structures, like the university down here, for example. Ooh, that leads me to the rather interesting research system. So you've got research points up here. I've got 10,000 right now, because I half don't know what to spend it on, frankly. But you've got a couple of ways of gaining research. The first and most immediately available one is by building libraries. Inside of the libraries, you've got X amount of researchers who are packing away the knowledge. They both research new knowledge and maintain old knowledge, as all of this is written on paper, which literally rots away over the years, so they've got to transcribe and retranscribe things. You've got to keep a constant output of research. They use paper to do this, which is an industry. I've got a couple of paper producers over here. Right now, I am making way more paper than I need, so I'm thinking if I maybe should expand my research even more. Then you've got the nurseries. How does that fit into research, you might wonder? Well, little tiny babies here that are put into cradles and then force-fed entire cucumbers and apples at the time, which is... ooh, it's a hard knock life. Like, you're not even they don't even mash it into gruel or make paste out of it or anything. They don't even feed it to you. No. They just put a fully formed cucumber at the bottom of your bunk bed as a baby. And if you don't, as a baby, manage to choke that thing down, well, I guess you didn't really want to live, huh? Harsh, but necessary. Then, the moment they hit 1 year old, it's off to school, of course, where they are indoctrinated in the correct values of our burgeoning little mini-empire. And this turns them into walking knowledge banks. Let's see, how about you? Do you have any, education on you by any chance? Where the hell? There we go, yes. So you can see this character has 15% education. Now, this is an adult, so the adults are educated much like the children at the university. But the soft little minds of children are far more malleable, which makes children really cool because you can cram them full of knowledge that you can use to research things. Whereas the adults can also be educated, but it takes a lot longer. And as they gain research points, well, they add to your total pool, which also means that if they die, mind you, you lose those points. So if you're engaging in a large-scale war, you best make sure you've got a decent buffer of knowledge, as the casualties are going to be unfortunate. Ooh, hello, the arena is done. Isn't that just lovely? So the arena will actually have fighters getting into it and having their own little combat groups. These fighters are taken from the prisoner pool. Right now, I don't have that many prisoners, so I'm thinking I might need to go and recruit some more, which you absolutely can. In all due likelihood, there is a prisoner transport going on. Right, I've got 47 out of 48 prisoners already. They might already be on the way, who knows. I can probably destroy this arena now, because I probably don't need two massive-ass arenas. Oh, here's a little bout. We've got Isodin Arkuden and Vala Wilmer. Stunning combat animations. The sword grows slightly longer in their hands occasionally. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why they look so hideous, that's supposed to be dirt. And apparently this guy's 8 years old. An early criminal, I see. Well, at least we've managed to take care of him, you know? He won't grow up to be an intelligent criminal, if nothing else, presuming that he manages to die in the arena like he's supposed to. This makes people very, very happy, by the way, and in fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure the large arena is probably good enough, so I'm gonna tear this one. Oh, that was quick. Normally they have to deconstruct buildings, as buildings are made up of several little smaller blocks. Let's have a look at the research window here whilst we are at it. Right now, I'm assuming this is probably going to get expanded upon even more, because mostly now it's bonuses and then some unlockable buildings. Like, for example, I've unlocked the baths and the nurseries and the taverns and the services, etc. I'd love to see something like maybe wonders here at some point, because you do get a lot of research, but it does also cost quite a lot to get it running. Let's see what interesting stuff would be here. Well, I do need to produce a lot more alcohol, so let's buy a couple level in drink production. You can also see the bonuses here. So now that we bought a little bit more in drinks, let's see if we can find... it also points it out here, which is really nice, by the way. Where's the breweries? There's the breweries. So the breweries are currently having a 35% increase to their capabilities, which is very, very nice. And that's not it either, because the individuals actually working at the brewery, let's take Corlan Sullivan here, for example. He's not particularly well educated, but he might have been working here for a while. Has he? There we go, yes. He is a long-term worker. He's been a brewer for a very long time, and so he has 100% experience, which actually makes him better at brewing, meaning that he can make more drinks faster. This can also be determined by race. For example, the Dondorians, the dwarves, are really good at making jewelry. If I go over here, you can see that I'm currently producing 1.05 joules per worker, whereas the base is actually 0.5, as you can see here. Oh, man, I love all... See, I was gushing over Dune a while ago, Dune Spice Wars, the early access game, because it was just like mechanics upon mechanics upon mechanics. And by God, I am so glad to see a strategy game that doesn't think I'm a bumbling, mouth-breathing moron. Like, I like complexity in my video games. Like, I like stuff. I like to think about things. Like, yeah, no, I do want to focus on employing dwarves in my jewelers, because the dwarves are better at making jewels. Simultaneously, if we go over to the housing pens, I want to encourage the tilapis to take care of that, because they're better at husbandry, just as the little orky bros are much better at dealing with vegetation. And you can set all of this as well, by the way. In the workforce tab here, you can set the custom priorities for various workers for their, like the people. You can attribute where slaves are going to be working. You're going to set the distribution of tools, since tools too boost production enormously. But tools are they are a big deal to produce. In fact, I think I'm finally beginning to get a little bit... Yes, I'm finally starting to get ahead in tool production. I'm probably going to make another tool room right now, which I'm going to... Let's see, which is the... That's weapons, that's tools, right? I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to slap that down there, and then I'm going to refill the mountains to provide the walls there, and then I'll have that up and running. You can also customize the buildings. This is one of the really cool little features of this game. So I tore down that arena right there. Okay, well, I do need to use more paper. So what do I want to use paper for? The school, the workload there is tiny. I don't have that many nurseries. I might want an expansion of nurseries, actually, not too long. And the university, I can't afford another one. Universities are a bastard because each and one of these podiums occupy a bunch of my people. You can see up here I have available workforce. A bunch of those are going to disappear from their jobs to get an education at the university, which means that my workforce actually goes up and down rather drastically, so I'm not going to build another university. But what could we need? We've got a cantina in the area. Its workload is 100, but it's available to... Oh, load 100, yeah. It's actually getting a little bit overrun. The baths are 2, but I've got 2 of them there. I'm not too worried about baths. What about latrines? Load 100? Okay, right. We're going to top down another latrine then, I'm thinking. So we're going to put down a well as well, because people need to clean themselves, and it'll provide a little bit of overflow protection from the bath, so we're just going to put that. That is a template structure like Watchtower, so that's just pre-made for you. But let's see. Civics, hygiene, lavatory. And then we're going to draw it out like so. And you can also automatically turn on and off whether or not it makes the walls. Now, this will primarily probably be used by humans, so we're going to make it a stone building. We're going to expand it one here because we've got a wall there, might as well use it. And we've got the basins and the latrines. Now, the latrine basic is 1 square like this, but you can upgrade it like there, or there, and you can make different shapes. For example, if I build it large enough, it becomes square. And if I do it the max size, it becomes these right here, as you can see. Now, this doesn't actually do anything in terms of the efficiency, necessarily. Like, you're almost as well off having a full row of these single latrines as you are having the large latrines. But what's really cool about it is they actually look different. For example... Let's go over here. So you can see the wood cutting yard here. You see these are the same because they're the same size of auxiliaries, whereas these are different. And if we go down to this one, you can see a fair little bunch of different ones, as they also are different sizes. Or I can go down to my fishery here, where you see yet further auxiliaries as well. So, if you want to make things nice and pretty, different sizes might be more artistically pleasing. Let's pop down 3 of these, and then we need some basins. No, That's the basins I'm putting down, goddammit. It's the latrines I want to put down first and foremost, because those are the actual shitters. There we go, 2 of those. And then a nice and large latrine at the end here, maybe? 1 less? There we go. Basins, 100%. Okay. These icons means that they can be entered from this area. So if I remove this, that'll remove the basin as well, because it's no longer accessible. Which is actually quite nice, because you never need to wonder whether or not something will be accessible once you finish the building, because it tells you, like here for example, I can't do this because it will actually block access to the other side of the latrine. So I put that there, and then I can make this 1 smaller, and then I need to slap on a couple of doorways, and voila, saves the blueprint. And my little worker dudes will begin allocating their jobs, building the walls, bringing the stone in for the walls, bringing the furniture in for the latrines, and so on and so on. This also means that you can customize exactly how you want your buildings to look, though you can't just go like massive squares. For example, let's take a eatery. If I just draw it out like this, massive eatery, you'll see these squares are yellow. That means that they are not sufficiently supported. You can build it, you can accept this right now, but it will have a 100% increase in the cost and time required to maintain it, as every building needs to be maintained constantly by janitors. Let's see, where's the janitor here? Here. So I click on the janitor. You might see little red squares, unless... No, they're actually doing a really good job. They've taken care of... Oh, there we go. Alright, so I've got an area up here that doesn't have access to a janitor because it's too far away. So you can see this building will have a little bit of degradation begin to build up over time, as will the roadway there. And if the building gets too degraded, its efficiency starts to lapse. So you want to keep the janitors on the job repairing stuff constantly. And so if you've got lots of way too big buildings, they'll be spending an assload of time on single buildings, and they'll also be expending more resources repairing them. So you want to add in little support blocks, like the library here, for example. These little blue outlines, those are pillars that are added in to keep the roof up, which again makes it really nice that you can customize the size of the desks, as you can sneak in as many as you possibly can. The exception to this is stuff like woodcutters, because they're not a building, they're open fields, as are the fields themselves too. And you've got pastures. This is one of the interesting things, because you can see the massive-ass world map here. These have also got different climates and different temperatures and different levels of availability. For example, let me save this one right here as Arch. There you go. All right. And I'm going to show you a second city. Bug people load. There you go. The city you saw was in the cold north, and by the way, I do hope they add in something like snow and more adverse climate effects, because currently your people can die from exposure. Like if I go down to the graveyard here, for example, you'll see quite a bit having died from heat stroke, because this is in the middle of the desert. So a bit more of a visual differential there would be really cool, like snow on the ground, or snow showers, or maybe some light heat effects. Yeah, maybe just a little bit of a filter. Like when you're in the desert, things are a bit more orange. You go like, oh, it's hot outside. Visual effects. Because you've got an indicator of the heat here. Currently, it's 15 plus degrees during winter, so you can imagine how the summer is. But something a bit more visual would be pretty appreciated too. Again, bearing in mind, early access game. So, this settlement is a bit smaller. I think I haven't hit the Lord rank just yet. Oh, by the way, as you unlock new ranks, you also get access to nobles, yet another mechanic, and you also get access to administration. Like, for example, the administration right here is set primarily into infrastructure, sanitation, and law. This is also where you can put taxes on certain things. Like, currently I'm taxing coal, for example. Big old map. A different map again from the previous one. Let's go back there. There's also traders moving about on the map, of course, and you've got import and export positions. This is actually a pretty decent settlement. Now, it has its problems. The previous cold settlement was too cold to grow cotton. That's why I had all of those wildlife pens, because they are fully occupied with sheep, which is the only way I could get cotton. Yes, cotton grows on sheep, don't ask me why. But anyways, I needed tons of those to be able to make clothing and be able to make cloth and stuff like that. Here, that's not anywhere near as big of a problem because I can actually make cotton farms. However, the fertility in the desert is ass. So I can look at the fertility here, and you can see it's mostly just dead ground. It's actually decent fertility for mushrooms inside the mountains, and growing stuff indoors is not actually a particularly bad idea. But I do have really good fishing because I'm near the ocean, so a big part of my food income here is just actually straight up fish. The various buildings also produce noise, by the way, so you want to keep your sleeping areas away from the noisier parts of your settlements. This means that if you settle in certain areas, you might have access to some resources and a massive lack in others. In the previous settlement, I'm exploiting every coal field I can to the max. I still don't have enough coal. Here, I'm swimming in the damn thing to the point where I'm exporting it as quickly as I can, and I'm still maxed out. So, yeah. In fact, I'm not even mining right now because I've got so much goddamn coal. I've got primarily the bug people as my main group of dudes, and, well, they like human sacrifices. which is lovely. Of course, that's what jails are for. I believe I have a prison here somewhere. Ah, there we go. You can send them to be human sacrificed, or you can simply chop their heads off, or hang them at the gallows, and this will spread dread and make sure that the rest of your citizens thinks twice about getting uppity. I'm also producing a bit too much in the way of metal. In fact, I'm kind of at a loss as to where to go with my mining operations here now. Probably just a massive expenditure of my army, probably, as in this area I have very little in the way of training right now. I'm primarily hoping that if anyone comes to raid me, I can buy them off, but a big expenditure in training grounds and archery ranges is probably on the calendar, since this is not going to be enough to protect me in the long term. But I'm also going to need more people for that, because of course if you're training somebody to be a fighter, they can't take care of the day-to-day runnings of the actual settlement. Might not be a bad idea either to expand my sleeping houses, because yeah, heat. Yeah. At least I've got a graveyard. That's something. That's nice. Incidentally, clothes will apparently make someone even cooler than if they were naked. Don't ask me how, but if I could increase clothes production, I wouldn't have quite so many people dying due to heat stroke. The problem is, my worker staff are kind of meh-ish, and even with the ability to grow cotton, with the low-ass fertility, yeah. It'll do like that. I'm going to start just buying clothes soon, because I do have some really, really good exports here in the deserts to make up for the lacking fertility. For example, I've got the little globoids, these happy little things, globodians. These massive-ass lizards provide me with a bit of meat, of course, but they also provide me with eggs. Eggs are apparently really goddamn expensive and sell for a lot. Let's see here. Yes, the sell price per egg is 156 gold. So, yeah, they're definitely worth raising. And I can also sell the livestock for a further 207. So that's my primary main running income. And once summer rolls around, well, one of the reasons to pick the desert is because you get access to a unique crop. Opium. Yes, opium is a booming business, it is. You can get a lot of it, a bumper crop every year, and their sales price is not too shabby. Where's the export depot for opiates? Is that it? There we go. Sale price 196. Not too bad at all. In fact, I've been 3008. I think I'm currently saving up to make armor, which is going to take a while. But you can, of course, specifically boost the growth rate of certain substances. Unfortunately, opiates are not one of them. That would probably break the game's economy awfully quickly. But I can generally boost everything else, including opiate, on the just farming tab. It's just that I can't make better opiate farms yet. There's probably going to be a advanced use for opiates as well, since currently the tooltip for opiate simply says can't be used currently. There you go. Again, early access game, but man, I do love this game. I really do, and it's pretty darn cheap too, so I highly recommend that if you're into city builders, you do go and check it out. There will be a link in the description leading to the game's store page, and even in its early access stage, I mean, it is not only playable, it is a great deal of fun. So if you've been... Oh, what's happened here? I think the trader has managed to block himself in. Maybe he got stabbed and mugged. Okay. Well, that is an interesting little bug. Early access. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend giving this game a look, because it is really cool. And with the addition of fully simulated battles, with each and every single soldier having their own stat blocks, their own equipment, their own weaponry, their own specializations, including accuracy, piercing damage, toughness, etc., you maybe could add in even more species, because originally they were just humans. Now look at it. And they've also got a great modding scene as well, adding in even more races. Add in perhaps specializations on top of that, like skirmishers and more artillery, like ballistas, since you've already got catapults, and siege warfare, and my god, the skies are the limit. But I think you've got a pretty good understanding of what the game is like, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, I've been Arch. Have a good day.